When the great teacher Michael Rice was leaving, he left me, and I've known Michael. We have known Michael for a long time. Am I on? Yes? Good? No? Yes, now we are. He left me with this Beatitudes from the Aramaic, and it says, Beatitudes are in truth instructions and methods that support us in achieving an exciting, reachable goal. The statement, blessed be, before each one of the Beatitudes is best spoken of in the ancient Aramaic language that Jesus spoke, and I'm not saying it right, but I'll get it as right as I can. Tovahom. Say it with me now. Tovahom. Think it. Tovahom. 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 And here's the definition, that's the mind-blowing. God implanted in your mind neural structures that will guide you when they're activated. If they are inactive, like most of us, you who follow these instructions will come into the conscious possession of and be able to use these latent spiritual guidance systems inside of us designed to make available thoughts and actions that will increase your happiness and well-being. Are you interested in doing that this morning?
Yes.
To initiate and activate the latent guidance system within you to bring forth happiness and well-being regardless of what's happening externally in the world. Are you interested in that?
Yes.
You need to say, yes, yes, I am interested in this, because this is what sparks the passion to awaken the compassion in you to be a peacemaker in the world, the deepest sense of the word. When we got home from India after being there for 28 days, 7 years ago, Michael Rice and Jeannie were actually at our house. They stayed for a month. He taught at my church. And when we came back, we were soaking with the divine presence. It was oozing forth from every cell and atom of our being. And Michael said, give me a diksha, a blessing. So we put our hands on top of his head, both Maureen first and I. And then he sat there for 20 minutes in complete silence. And then he went, as he opened his eyes, Tovahom, Tovahom, Tovahom. And he pointed to his third eye. An experience of what? Oneness. An experience of peace that passes all understanding. An experience of the brain moving out of fight or flight to the prefrontal lobe of awakening, which we're doing now here as we practice these statements of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount. We've talked about the 7 different energy centers in the body that we have been lifting up. We're here to lift up the Holy Spirit, the Kundala, the Mana, the Prana, the Chi. It doesn't matter what you call it, it's the light body within you. The first chakra, security, came from blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. When you know how poor you are when you're disconnected from the truth, you want more of it. Second chakra, sensation center. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Oh good, you guys are much sharper than the first service. Be comforted. When you let go of something that you've been holding on to for a long time, you know, a habit pattern that's difficult to let go of, there's a mourning when you let go of that. Third chakra, the power center. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Meekness is not weakness, but true strength and power. And then we move to the heart center. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for truth, for they shall be filled. And then we move to the 5th chakra. Blessed are those who are merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. The mercy you give and speak to is the mercy you receive for yourself. And then we went to the 6th chakra, spiritual perception. And we said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God face to face, and everybody else's face and appearance. And now we're ready for Independence Day. Becoming dependent completely upon the inner light inside of us. An explosion happens now as we open up the crown chakra. The fireworks are shooting off now. But blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the children of God. You are that peacemaker. When you are allowing that energy to rise up in you, you are taking on your image and likeness from God's version of you. And then you walk in the world as an embodiment of peace. Not to make peace happen, but to make peace with the one place that most people don't want to ever deal with. And that's with yourself. The most important place is to deal with your own inner life and make peace with yourself. That word actually comes from the word serenity. Blessed are those who are serene and tranquil, for they shall in that moment be children of the one presence and one power. Course in Miracles says, the peace of God is my one goal. the aim of all my living here, my purpose, my function, and my life. I could choose peace instead of you fill in the blank. So we have to look at those things and not be afraid to take a look at those things where we're out of peace. And this wonderful statement by Emmett Fox in the Sermon on the Mount, he says it this way, definitely for this print. The my gloss is. The peacemakers spoken of in this beatitude are those who make or bring about this true peace or serenity in their own souls. For it is they who surmount limitation and become actually, not just merely potentially, the children of God. This condition of mind is the objective at which Jesus' teachings in the Sermon on the Mount and everywhere else aim. He says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. As long as there is fear or resentment or any trouble in our hearts, we will not be able to be the true peacemakers we are meant to be. To establish ourselves in this peace, we have to look at those places in our heart where we might still be troubled. I remember when I got my first glimpse of that about 16 years ago, at my first extended, long Vipassana meditation retreat for 7 days of walking and sitting meditation. It takes about, at least 2 days, just to quiet down the conscious mind long enough to be able to get to the unconscious, the subconscious mind, the seat of the soul. And when I got to that place, I just looked at one of my favorite story lines, it's particularly in my work as a minister and my churches that I've been at up until that point. I got that no matter where I went, you notice wherever you go, there you are, I kept noticing that no matter what people did for me, they weren't enough. I noticed that people were not doing enough to make me be the light of the world that I'm meant to be in this world, and the problem is not with you, with me, it's with you. You guys need to do more to make me become what I'm meant to be in this world. I really realized that was a modus operandi that I had been deluded with for many, 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 many years throughout all my ministry, and burdening people with my expectation of what they should be doing for me. When I saw that, it was a huge conversion. It was like being born again. I saw this has nothing to do with outer ministries or outer congregations or outer circumstances or conditions. This is about my own inner congregation of thoughts and feelings. That's what I'm looking at now. I saw that. And Maureen says she noticed a huge shift in me. I stopped blaming other people for why I'm not peaceful and happy, and started to look at the only place where I can ever be peaceful and happy, and that's inside of myself. Yes? Yeah. To connect with God's version of you. This is the work that we are called upon to do, to be a peacemaker, to change a neural pathway. And I remember about 16 years ago noticing that from that particular conversion, reborn again experience that I had, a new neural pathway was forming. And the other one would still fire, oh, they're not doing it, they're not good enough. Another one would go, that's not the truth. You are believing in a lie. That is a delusion. And a new pathway began to fire 16 years ago. And now, my peace has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with the choice I make with me. My peace I give to you. I leave this with you. Let not your heart be troubled. The trouble's not with you, or the world, or the candidates, or the political situation, or even the environmental crisis that we're in. The problem is with me and my own sense of my own connection to God. When I'm connected to the one presence and one power, all will be well, and all is well, and all will be well. And then I'll do what I need to do to say yes or no to what needs to be different in the world. Remember Norman Cousins? Norman Lear. Remember Norman Lear, All in the Family, and the Jeffersons, and Maude? Great man. I was listening to an interview with him on NPR, 90 years old. And I think what grabbed us both first on the radio listening to him was the sense of peace that was emanating from him. He was just peaceful, at peace with himself. Every second, every word he spoke was coming from a deep well of connection to the truth of being. And he said he had his conversion experience, his born-again experience, in 1980, when he was listening on the radio to an evangelist preacher say that the Nazis were doing the work of God and getting rid of the Christ killers. He heard that, being Jewish and from that background, in 1980, and he went, that is wrong. And he formed the People for the American Way. Not because he thought they were wrong. There was no anger in his voice when he said that. He just said, this was my moment to step up into the world and be a peacemaker. And I wasn't just going to complain about it. I was going to do something and offer a different alternative. That's what it means to be a peacemaker, to step up to the plate. He said he got death threats all the time, particularly in those first few years, because he was doing something very bold and powerful at that time. But now, it's common practice to look at that now and go, wait a minute, that's not true. That's an illusion. That's a version, an illusion that we are holding ourselves apart from our goodness and our love and our oneness. To speak up from that doesn't mean we step back from it, pretend it's not there. It means we become peaceful in ourselves, and then we say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. That's our work here. To be a peacemaker is to embody it in just that way. And for me, it's always a willingness to look at where am I getting tight in a position in my mind, and where am I then weaving a story around it. That's not true. I've had a Harley motorcycle for 2 months, all of you know. I've renamed her Holy Baba. Holy Baba, my holy bike, my holy bike. And I have been putting off getting my motorcycle license for 2 months, because I don't need no stinking motorcycle license. I've been riding for 45 years. I can ride better than anybody on the planet, and I don't need no license to tell me what I already know. I had one, I forgot. It was well, it wasn't my fault. It was their fault that I forgot to take the test when I signed over 2 years ago, my license to here. It's always their fault, right? And so I went off with my version of, I don't need no stinking license, you know? And I even found other people that would join me with that. Oh, I've been riding bike for years. No one ever looks at the license that closely. Do you understand what you do when you're in this deluded state? And I realized that I was lost in a DMV moment. Yes? A direct mind violation of spiritual principle for what was causing me in that moment to be out of peace with myself. The DMV was not their problem, the DMV was mine. Direct mind violation of a spiritual principle that was keeping not them out of peace, but me. Because every time I got on the bike, I knew it was wrong. But I was trying to have a version of my illusion that would make it right, when the truth was it wasn't. And so in the cushion, where you do all your deeper work, right, where you sit and you look at yourself, I non-judgmentally acknowledged what I was doing. I compassionately looked at what I was doing. There I am, I'm doing that one. And when I stood up from the cushion, I didn't do nothing, because now I'm in peace. I went, you know what? I am not riding my motorcycle until I get my license. I made a very strong commitment to doing something about it. Not just talk about it, not just go into peace about it, but I am not, anybody know a direct mind violation you've been involved with? That you've been telling yourself some version, illusion of you that's not true? You know, you need to tell yourself powerfully, I am not going to do that anymore. And I began to pick up the owner's manual, the manual for teachers. I began to read it. Thank God. I picked up the Course in Miracles. I took the class over here with Paula. I began to look at the Course in Miracles lesson, and there it is. There's the manual. I've read it before. I know all this stuff already. I don't need any. And I began to look and go, oh, gee, I didn't know that if you press the brake this way and lean that way, I'm going to try that next time I ride my bike. So as a result of reading the manual, I saw something I've never seen before that I can now apply to my license. I am now, by the way, a licensed motorcycle rider in the state of North Carolina. So at the end of that, I can get on my bike without fear of having to lie to somebody when they stop me on the road. Oh, I even had a story. Can you believe the ego? I had a story. Oh, gee, I thought I got a license. You're willing to talk about this? This is a direct mind violation. Buyer beware. You're kidding yourself. You're in delusional consciousness. You are, and you know you are. Don't pretend you're not. So when we take a look at the DMV that we're all a part of, direct mind violation, we know that when we compassionately meet that and look at that we can choose peace instead of that. I can choose peace instead of my DMV, and so can you. So let's take a look at our lesson salvation just for a moment. Blessed are the peacemakers. Remember this line, blessed are the cheesemakers. What did he say? Cheesemakers? Not the He said cheesemakers. No, he said peacemakers. So go home. You know, God implanted within you the neural pathways to help you awaken to who you are. Your brain is mostly not being used right now. I don't care how old you are, you've got brain cells that are going, let's do something different. We're dead and dormant, but we can be awakened by the Spirit. If you'll use us, we will help you, and you don't need to get stuck in your old neural pathways anymore. You got plenty of brain cells, which can bring you what? Happiness and well-being. Next one. I know I didn't read it. Who cares? Next one. The peacemakers spoken of in the Bible are people who are in a serene state of mind. Not all the time, but are willing to look at that as a prerequisite. They're willing to look at those places in us where we're still troubled and not be fooled by them. Not be angry about them, but just be aware of them. Bring awareness to anything, and it helps you get free from it. And finally, the last one. Actually, this one comes from Norman Lear. This was off his website, and I love this. When I read it, I went, oh, this is my Jewish brother, 90 years old. Everything tells me that the world would be an exquisite place to live were everyone able to respond to life as Jesus did. I call that mamalotion. Mamalotion. Say that with me now. Mamalotion. That is a Yiddish word meaning straight talk mixed with common sense. Actually, it goes deeper than that. Mamalotion is the understanding that comes when one's common sense derives as much from the soul as the mind. The Sermon on the Mount is simply mamalotion. And anything that ain't mamalotion doesn't square right with my religious sensibilities. Mamalotion. Yes? It makes sense. It makes sense to the mind to come into the awareness of the truth that we really are here to spread mamalotion. And I brought some with me. Does anyone want Mama Lotion? I've got Mama's lotion right here. Would you like some? This is Mama's lotion. You know what I mean? You take it off like this, and what do you do with Mama's lotion? You don't just talk about these teachings, put it in your pocket, you activate it. You take that Mama lotion, ooh, yeah, and you put it in your hands, right? And you just rub in these truths. It's Mama lotion, oh, in dry weather, in the skin. You rub it all over your body. But you don't leave it there when you've got extra Mama lotion going. Well, what do you do with that Mama lotion? You share it with other people who are all dried and cracked up and lost and forgetful. You share it. And my friends, that's what it means to be a peacemaker. You share the Mama lotion with others. That's why you're here. So when you're involved with a direct mind violation, I'm telling you, be a peacemaker. Share your Mama lotion, the version of God, with others. And in conclusion, if there were a thing that you'd want to have your life stand for, this is what Norman Lear was asked this question at 90 years old. If there were one thing you'd want on your bumper sticker, what would that bumper sticker say? And this is what he said, which brought up all that beautiful music. If I had one thing to say to the world, it would be a bumper sticker that said, just another version of you. My friends, that's Mama Lotion. Be a peacemaker. The world needs you. Happy 4th.